To the benefits of YouTube influencers. Take it away, sir.
All right. I will do my best to keep you all awake. I think you'll be on the tip of your toes when we're done here today, because you're sitting and looking at some individuals who have come together in a very unique alliance. I'm very privileged in my old age to be associated with these youngins who are going to change the world, particularly the world of media and games, and how games are marketed, produced. And so we're going to have a little conversation about that. First, let me give you the quick background. When I'm speaking and asking questions, you know what's going through my head. Because I'm a 30-year-old dog who's done many startups. It started at HBO in the early 80s during what we used to call the cable truck chasing days. I was in the marketing team that used to send you the mail piece that said, call this number now, you have HBO for only 99 cents, and we'll also give you an alarm clock radio absolutely free. Call now. So then I helped start up, I was on the management team to start up E! Entertainment Television. I went to New Zealand, launched Sky Network. I was in Australia launching Foxtel. I was back here in Silicon Valley in the 90s, crazy days of IPO over there, launching Open TV that went public in 1999. And then I was involved in all kinds of craziness, video on demand, high-speed data services launching, voice over IP stuff. It was crazy stuff. And then I got involved in over the top, what you now know as Hulu, Netflix streaming, and things like that. So I've seen a lot of things. I've been through 3 sea changes in my life, in my business life. It started with pay TV, subscription pay TV. Then went to video on demand and over-the-top services. And there's another sea change sitting here in front of you. Many of you know and are aware of the multi-channel networks that are out in the world today, like Full Screen, Maker Studio, Awesomeness TV, Machinima. And those business models are very different than what is now coming together on stage in front of you. You have a very unique alliance here. You have a games producer in Jimmy Ewan from Section Studios. You have 2 of the top YouTubers in the world, 2 influencers, Tom, who is also known as the Syndicate Project, the #1 YouTuber in the UK. You also have Adam, who's also known as CNanners, right here. Between the 2 of them, they've got about 11 to 12 million, 12.5 million followers. And then you have Luke Stepleton here, who was one of the original guys at Machinima. And over the last 4 years, while he was there, 4.5 years, he helped organize and manage many of these YouTubers, these influencers who are now changing the world. And so we're going to have a discussion today about this alliance, because today was the day that Luke and his company, 3 Black Dot, has been announced. They've been in stealth up until this morning. And the alliance that you're looking at here, this is very different in terms of business model. These aren't guys under contract working together. These are guys who are actual equity holders in the business. And so they have a lot to talk about and a lot of interesting aspects of how they see mobile games, PC games coming to the fore, how they're going to be produced, and ancillary products and services around those games. So let's start real quick. Jimmy, why don't you talk a little bit quick about Section Studios?
We're a multidisciplinary content creation company out in LA. So we also develop games, but we also do commercials, mobile apps, interactive web design. And yeah, that's pretty much it. We develop games across all platforms, and that's kind of how we met these guys from on the mobile front.
Yeah, and we had just, when we say come out of self, sorry, 3 Black Dot, we started as a company in April of last year, and we've been working really closely and intensely with brands and YouTubers to kind of expand on what we learned at Machinima. And our first venture in game publishing and development was with Section. We launched Zombie Killer Squad in the mobile app stores of both Google and Apple, and did no traditional user acquisition. We did completely peer-to-peer marketing, focusing on leveraging large audiences in an authentic manner. And we worked with Tom and Adam, our partners in crime, to kind of develop an IP that we thought could engage In 9 days, we got 1 million downloads. We're at 2.7 million downloads to date, and we're getting ready to relaunch the game in the next couple days at Comic-Con.
And let me accent that. Tom and Adam, who are going to speak in a second, what 3 Black Dot did was harness the power of their audiences. And during the launch of Zombie Killer Squad, and as Luke just said, in those 9 days, 1 million downloads, 1 million users came to play the game, just from these two gentlemen, inspiring their audience to do it. And as you all know, it's very costly in marketing spend to drive a game. It could be anywhere from $3 to $4.50 to acquire a quote-unquote user, somebody to come play your game. Well, these guys didn't do that. They just used influencers, Tom and Adam, and got 1 million in 9 days, and it's been growing since then. So that's quite a story. So Adam.
All right. Hi, guys. My name is Adam, also known as Scene Anders, and this is Tom. Say hi, Tommy.
Hi. Yeah, I'm the British guy.
And I think one thing to say before we get into discussion that's really important is that we are on the same side of the table. That is something that's very unique because traditionally it's managers, agents, lawyers, all that stuff that you traditionally see. I think that what we found is there was a better way to come together and work together. And I think that 3 Black Dot specifically is definitely there to, essentially garner in the new generation of people like myself who say, essentially like, YouTube has been great to me for the last 5 years, but I would very much like to do something else. I'd like to grow my business. I'd like to, work together with like-minded people to come up with solutions similar to ZKS, where essentially we spent $0. That's insane, and acquire that many users. And I think that I personally am very excited to see, what we can do after this as a result of that initial success.
Yeah, I agree, because like with 3BD, we're allowed to come together as a company rather than just being, you start off, I'm just a YouTuber and I make gaming videos, and then I've amassed an audience of like 7 million subscribers now. And then if I've got an idea of, I want to make a game or something, rather than just going to a company saying, I'll promote your game, we'll play it, you'll put me in as a character, and I'm just a character in the game. I get to work with 3BD now as being part of the company as well, to actually go, this is my idea, we're going to make this game, it's going to have this IP behind it, and we own it. Especially that's the key thing here. Like, my creative idea goes into what I play, and then the content we then produce on our YouTube channels is our own game. So it's like it's just a cycle that wins for all of us, really. So that's what we do.
And let me just talk to real quick the power of the influencer. I'm going to turn to you in a sec, Luke. Just to give you an idea about this, I'm obviously coming from a very traditional media place. For 30 years, that's where I've been. Is an example of the power of this. Adam, who's again known as Scene Anders on YouTube, has over 4.5 million followers. On any given day, and he produces videos every day, is that correct? So on any given day, Scene Anders has 1/3 of his audience is watching him every day. That's 1-point-something million people. And if you're NBC, or if you're USA Network, or even ESPN, that's a nice number. And this is nothing to laugh at anymore. This is not the YouTube that everybody, particularly my generation, thinks of as cats playing the piano. This is a very different animal. This is a new form of what we call peer-to-peer marketing. So Luke, I want you to talk to, you've been doing this with these guys for 4.5 years, and 10,000 other influencers from your machinima days. Talk to the power of the influencer and what that means, and why you're doing 3 Black Dot this way.
Yeah, absolutely. For us, a lot of the platforms that are being built on individual interactions, and they have the ability to aggregate audience behind people's individual voices, whether it's Tumblr, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. YouTube being the most powerful, you're seeing a great deal of engagement behind these YouTube voices and people. And we've worked with countless brands to help them organically integrate into the YouTube ecosystem so that they're driving traffic and they're driving eyeballs to either their website or their brand. When we left Machinima, my partner and I wanted to focus that and still continue to do that. So part of our business model is still, as an agency, we still work with the Microsofts of the world and the Edelmans of the world to help them bring their brands into the YouTube ecosystem by working very closely with the influencers and or other producers to put that content into YouTube. As we moved forward, we wanted to create our own games and continue to do that. You're seeing this influencer word being thrown around. Every platform now has its own influencers. So you have Instagram with influencers, you have your Vine, you have Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, and working with these people is as simple as creatively involving them, and giving them the voice and the ability to communicate to their audience, because literally it's their audience. So when we ask somebody to post something, we don't say, hey, here's a Mountain Dew commercial, post this on your YouTube channel and we'll give you X. Because that just doesn't work. That's not how you communicate in this new world. It's literally peer-to-peer. They want, the audience wants, and in a way, from an aspirational quality, to play with you guys and be your friends, but also to one day aspire to be the influencer.
So you're alluding to authenticity, because I know that you guys have talked in front of me about that many times. Tom and Adam, why don't you talk about that? You know, there's been a lot in the newspapers about,
Sure.
you know, these other MCNs, such as Maker Studio, which was acquired, as you all know, by Disney for $900 million. Well, in my opinion, they didn't buy Maker Studio for the revenue that Maker Studio was generating. They bought it for the audience. So talk to that. I'd like to hear what you guys have to say. Tell the audience about the need for not just quality, but the authenticity and what that
Sure.
means to you and your audience.
Well, I think it's very important. I think that as a brand, like as an individual brand, it's important to maintain honesty. Like I think that it is a bit different. Like I don't have, you know, when it comes down to it, everything I say I have to be held accountable for it because I'm an individual. It's not like I'm Coca-Cola and it's like, well, there's many people that work here. So if somebody messes up, well, there's a whole group. It's not on one person to, you know, make the right choice. And I think that I'm very focused on, you know, how to, you know, discuss things in a way that, you know, everyone feels like they're connected. And I think that that's something that is important. It's important that if we're promoting a game, I'd very much like to make sure it's a great game, that, you know, it's something that I feel passionate about. And I think that that's the thing that when it comes to traditional brand integration, sometimes it fits and sometimes it doesn't. And I think if it comes to your idea of, you know, talking about, let's say, Mountain Dew, like I don't drink Mountain Dew, so it's kind of a hard sell. But I think that if we're creating our own things, it's a very easy method to, you know, discuss these things. It's like, I love this game. This is the game I want to make. And when you partner with people like Section, it's like, you know, it's like, let's put a giant cat in the game. Most people go like, that doesn't make any sense. But it's like, to me, it's like, it's fun to, you know, to play around and make it feel like us, make it feel genuine.
It has to be natural.
Yeah,
Because
we
like
want to
if
have fun.
Mountain Dew came to you and was like, oh, promote this. It's like, what? It's like me turning around to one of your best friends and going, hey, do you want to buy a Mountain Dew today? It's like, where the hell did that come from? It's got to be natural. And like, even if that's a game developer that we're not working with, they're like, go and tell all your friends this is the best game in the world. And it's like,
Sure, it doesn't
like
fit.
being told to lie to someone, but has to be a natural thing. So rather than it being approached by different people saying, oh, promote our game, it's going to be the best thing in the world, it's the next best thing.
Sure.
You know, we get to create our own, which we know is going to be great for us to make with our ideas. So.
Yeah, Jimmy, I wanted actually you to talk about how Section brought your power. You have a 45-man shop. You've won award. You've got guys on your team that have won awards for Gods of War. When you hooked up with 3 Black Dot, Tom and Adam, and developed Zombie Killer Squad, it was collaborative based upon their understanding of their audience. Talk to that a little bit and how Zombie Killer Squad was developed.
This exact show last year, I was actually in the lobby pitching about 5 different game prototypes to probably every publisher that I was able to find a meeting with. Then I met these guys. It was actually a little bit after I met these guys, but this was kind of when Luke and Angela were both just starting this idea, and I was still trying to understand this idea of influencer. I'm not an avid YouTube user. I don't follow anybody on YouTube. But it was just, you know, as a developer, I've always wanted to figure out the best way to have develop a successful game. Essentially, that comes down to finding the right publisher who would give you the light of day to be able to push your game so that you would have a successful game. Sometimes they leverage, you know, rev share. They'll give you 70% while they take 30 and say, oh, we have a great deal. And the next thing you know, you're sitting there 14 months, you know, waiting for it to get out of soft launch because you're not meeting the metric. And the next thing you know, you're running out of money. And so it was quite a bit of a roller coaster ride for me from a developer standpoint. And once I met Luke and Angelo, and I started to really understand this idea of authenticity, I started to really study up on Tom and Adam's audience and just the amount of influence and impact that they had on their core group of followers who actually were, from a mobile standpoint, could be considered hardcore gamers. So to me, Angelo and I and Luke, we all kind of got together and decided, hey, why don't we put a game together and try this out, but let's make a game that Tom and Adam could really push and be authentic, so that it's not like another Mountain Dew commercial or anything else that they're pushing. So we did, and about 3 months, we launched the game, and next thing you know, in 12 hours, we were ranked number 2 in the App Store. We freaked out, and I was like, wow, this is what it feels like. So, we texted everybody, and 3 Black Dot definitely does have this amazing influence-driven model, and it was all about, even prior to that, we sought out all the user acquisition experts, and I was actually shutting them down by saying, man, you guys don't know mobile world. YouTube is a web thing. Mobile is different. How are you going to convert all the users? And I was doubtful myself. And we had experts telling us that it couldn't be done, and we had full analytics done. But for some reason, between what my frustration with trying to get a game seen and with them, proving their model after, in the correct way. They said we were going to get 21,000 downloads after the first month, after they had put out like maybe 100 videos or something like that.
The professionals said we were
going to,
yeah, and we were just like, oh, yeah.
As opposed to what happened.
Yeah,
which
so they
was
thought we were
one
going to get
video.
like 20,000 downloads, whereas me and Adam, if we put something on Twitter, I've got like 1.3 million followers on Twitter, Adam's like 700,000. Like if we put something out on there, we're going to get like at least a 5-10% click-through rate anyway. So we were like, then numbers make no sense. So to be able to then just go mention in a video to like 12 million people combined, we have a game. It's free. You want to play it, go and download it. And people did. Like me and Luke were in the car building me a new PC at the time as it hit the App Store. And we managed to get it trending worldwide in the like worldwide everywhere, so obviously. But that was absolutely crazy because I was just non-stop tweeting about it, getting my fans guys, if you download the game, share me your high score, and then them sharing the high score with their friends, more friends who went to download it to beat their friends, that sort of thing. So it just became rather than this, just there's the game, go and enjoy it. I really got involved as a personal thing that this is my baby, this is our first thing, let's see how big we can get it. And to see it go straight to the top of the UK App Store, so represent my country, we managed to do it. We got to number 2 in the US, didn't we? But we were very close, yeah. But I did proud for the UK guys.
It's also really quick too. It's also a conversation of partnership. I think that when we talk about what I find, whether it's game development or MCNs, I think there's an air of everyone kind of, and it sounds kind of odd, but they try to leverage each other. And I think that this is something that is very unique because it's we're working together as opposed to on, again, different sides of the table where it's it makes perfect sense that we say, all right, if we want to be the means to production, distribution, and marketing, well, we just find the right people and work together. And I think that that's something that I'd like to see more of. I feel like there's a lot of, and you get, the experts telling you can't do this or you should do that. And it's and I think that a lot of people are, whether it be, they're taken advantage of. And I think that that's a very big issue, whether it's, YouTube or game development. I think there's a lot of hungry people that don't have the right leadership. And I think that if we perhaps can provide that leadership, that can, grow far beyond what we hope it would be at.
So one of the things I think, Jimmy, you were alluding to was, releasing something and just getting it seen. For us at 3 Black Dot, one of the most difficult parts of the future is discoverability. One of the reasons we partner with influencers is to kind of help cut through that noise. We're driven by the philosophy of peer-to-peer marketing is the most efficient way to reach the communities of the future. With Zombie Killer Squad, we launched the game, and we worked with you guys both on YouTube and Twitter to promote it. For the next 3 months, when you typed in Zombie Killer Squad or ZKS popped up. Why? From an algorithm standpoint, we were able to create such velocity in that first 72 hours by working with large audiences. It became something that was the algorithm looked for and sought.
Just snowball.
Yeah. So from a discoverability standpoint, what we're saying as a company and as a philosophy is working with large audiences, aggregated by YouTubers and or Twitters, Vine people, you have the ability to kind of hone that message and create a discoverability algorithm of your own.
So that's a big chunk of the power behind what you guys have been doing. But you also are doing some other innovative things, such as I'd like you guys to talk about the mini films, the mini movies that you're doing to help promote the game during the launch of the game. Talk to, for example, what you did with Nether and what you just finished doing with Zombie Killer Squad. You want to take that?
I mean, Nether was another project Jimmy worked on. We worked on it separately, and you brought us in. But Nether's a small PC game on Steam. Hadn't really have a marketing arm or agency. We worked with Section and YouTubers across not just Adam and Tom, but across 50 to 100 channels.
You got PewDiePie, right?
Yeah,
Like,
Pewds did
biggest
it.
YouTube channel in the world.
Yeah, PewDiePie did it. A whole bunch of different channels to promote a completely unknown game. We increased the sales by 400% 2 months in a row. But from a IP development standpoint, with games and with mobile apps, what Mitch was alluding to is we just shot our first live action film, and it'll air inside the app. One of the things we want to continue to do is kind of innovate. Why put something inside of an app? Because or in a game? Because as a game itself, it is also a platform. You've already aggregated your audience of 2.5 million. Let's engage them in a new way. Let's keep the content there. Let's keep bringing it out. We're going to be developing animation to continue to engage the audience in completely organic ways inside the game itself.
And one of the things that we haven't really talked about here, and it's a little unique to what they've been doing, both in the feature films that support the games and the games themselves, is Tom and Adam, Scene Anderson Syndicate Project, are both in the game. They are the characters that you can be to kill zombies. And so if you're a member of their audience, obviously you may have an interest in doing that. Do you want to talk about that a little bit and what your feelings are about being part of both the movie side as well as the games?
Right, so my YouTube channel, I started it from playing like Call of Duty Zombies, and that's all I did. So when we first said like, oh, we're going to do Zombie Killer Squad, I was like, yes, zombies. You know, fan of The Walking Dead, fan of all that sort of stuff, and was like super stoked to get involved with the game side. But then like with how 3BD like established this is what we're going to do by creating like miniature films and stuff, we just managed to go out into the desert doing a 7 p.m. till 7 a.m. shoot, which was pretty insane, where I was like a badass with like 2 samurais, like killing zombies, which was awesome. And it now allows us to step into a new field of how we can promote our games or, you know, anything that we actually create. And we got the chance to go out, make a short for ZKS of killing zombies and having fun, really. You know, we had influence and really enjoyed it, and the audience will see that in the video.
I think also as well, I mean, it's a very interesting vehicle to promote, whether it's films or games or graphic novels, whatever it is that we want to produce. I think that again, being properly aligned, because I think that what typically happens and what I've seen, I mean, we didn't even mention that, you know, 6 months into my YouTube career, I got a job at Machinima and was working there. So I've seen the side of MCNs and I've seen the side of being an independent, and I'm now, you know, went from being an independent to, you know, co-founder of 3 Black Dot. And I think that it is very unique, the idea that essentially, you know, if you bring the people together in a way that, you know, like that's totally natural. Like Tom's like, I'm going to swing some swords, it's going to be awesome. Like, and it's fun to say, all right, well, we can build this IP out further. It's not just a game. It can be any number of things. And I think that if you see this idea that essentially like, and we do have quite an extensive background, especially like gaming. I mean, we've been playing, I mean, my channel for 5 years, and we played a lot of different games. And I think that that gives a lot of insight in terms of, you know, what does an audience want to see? I mean, what type of mechanics? I mean, these are the things that I think, and I am very curious to see, you know, how that sort of segues from YouTube to game development. I think that there is something that can be said for, you know, getting the right group of guys together.
And Luke, if you wouldn't mind, talk to your transition from really promoting, particularly your days at Machinima. You and Adam, Tom were all very involved with doing PC games. Now there's a real focus on mobile. Talk to the opportunities at mobile and how you see the mobile world, particularly mobile games.
Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, No, it's all good. For mobile, as you all know, it's such an exciting time. You have an opportunity. There's so many different opportunities, whether it's the ability to and opportunity to drop the cost of user acquisition by partnering with YouTubers, or whether it's the ability to engage your audience in completely unique ways. It's a ecosystem that right now it still feels a little bit in its infancy, and that ads are popping up and you're engaging with the ads. It takes you out of it. There are several games out there and several mobile apps that are starting to really innovate in the mobile marketing space. I think you're going to continue to see large publishers to cross-promote and engage audiences in really fascinating ways, whether it's animation, creating unique experiences that are localized. There are tons of opportunities given the amount of data that you're getting inside that mobile app. I think it's still kind of in its infancy. From promoting PCs to promoting mobile, I mean, the messaging is fairly similar. The engagement, what needs to be focused on there is, again, just working with the audiences themselves. When any not only on YouTube, Instagram, all these different platforms, these audiences have their own unique voices. Speaking with those people and speaking to them through social media or social media influencers, you'll find out how to talk with the audience and how to engage them, whether, again, it's in mobile or PC. And, you know, I mean, the simple tricks of the trade don't really apply, the old ones, to the new ones, and the new ones are working with authentic audience.
So, Three Black Dot is again, sitting on the stage here, you've got a games producer, you've got two top influencers on the YouTube network globally, and you've got Three Black Dot, who's organized this group here to promote games, but it's more than that. Luke, and anybody else you want to take this, because Jimmy, I know that this is a part of Section Studios' view of, from a games producer point of view, you just don't want to produce a game, you want to also produce ancillary product around that game. Either one of you guys could take this one, but talk to what Three Black Dot's vision is for creating what I call a franchise, but I know, Jimmy, you call it a world. Talk about how you're going to use the games, the launch of these games, just like the studios Warner Brothers would do with Legendary Pictures, taking comic books and then building a world around them. Talk to that, because this is a part and parcel of the Three Black Dot philosophy, of which Section Studios is now a partner.
So I think Three Black Dot from the marketing side and Section Studios on the development side both share the sensibility of understanding the value of IP. Section Studios we have three divisions in our company. One that is games. We have an interactive division. We also have an entertainment division. So we were also part of the shoot for the Zombie Killer Squad live action. With that, what we wanted to do is always look at whether it be a game development or a mobile app or interactive storybook or anything else that we would do from a sense that we can actually build a world around us and grow it. And this makes our involvement with Three Black Dots so important, because the power of influence, this idea of their followers being and their aspiration with Tom and Adam is very important, to the extent that we can actually capture the core audience that can be inspired and that can be moved and that can participate in the world that we create. And that was the key difference, I think, between the traditional user acquisition, which I think the analytics really made sense, versus what they were able to do that was very organic. Their audience was already bought in to what they endorse, as opposed to how many ad dollars you actually put in through the different distribution channels. So for us, I mean, that was really important. Section Studios full of artists. We love the creative component. We're not a tech company, and we want to create content that's timeless and lasting. And I think that's where, when we got together with Three Black Dot, the importance of authenticity and just their inspiration to really capture their audience and to inspire them as well, I think made it an amazing match.
Yeah, I think that for us, if you look at any IP development, you want to try to create a rich experience by working with the influencers and understanding their audience and talking to them about what their audience wants to see. We treat mobile apps and PC games as full franchises right from day one. So we try to engage the influencers and know their audience and talk with the audience on what they want to see and then develop it out. Our mobile app is the first insertion into a community. We're going to develop more. We have live action in development. We're going to have animation in development. The idea being that you're constantly developing this rich world out and you're engaging community on a year-long, quarterly cycles, and getting them to intensely engage, whether it's creatively online, creating YouTube videos. What's up, buddy?
Like how you're saying, like with creating things, I know it's like mainly games here, but just from an IP perspective, I stream the game, obviously Minecraft. Like I'll stream that daily. It's like every day, 12 noon, I stream for 2 hours, and collectively started off about 5 to 20,000 people were watching it. And then each day, like a television show, people tune in to watch it. And now my average stream daily is like 60 to 70,000 people who tune in, like dedicated. Like say, if I say we're launching a new game, there's a new update, people will push like crazy to go and do that. We get a new game in the App Store, and I'm like, guys, if you like it, please leave it a review. You know, we'll get some reviews and we'll put it in a YouTube video to show like what you guys think of it. And then people will just go over there, you know, like share what their opinions on it, and then absolutely grow the game even more, which helps, you know, with the algorithms of getting it to the top of the, you know, the boards and stuff. But through growing an IP with like Minecraft, I created a series called Myonite, and then with that, I don't just want it to be, oh, I'm just playing a Minecraft game or someone else's game again. We want to create it into something completely new, and being able to use Minecraft as the creative tool, we're then going to hopefully create, you know, like books from it, you know, comics from it, like animations, everything. Like we can lead every creative aspect we do as just YouTubers ourselves, and like any aspirations we want to do, we can turn that into a whole world, like you were saying, and we can just create something awesome from it rather than it just being it was just a one-off thing. Like we can fully like diverge it into huge things, like, you know, a book would be cool.
Minite's an interesting example. He's crowdsourcing a storyline. He's working with his community to build a storyline that will be turned into a book.
Yeah, there's like a whole lore about it. I just stream and I was like, oh guys, what do you think the like some character comes on, like say Adam comes on the server and he stole all my stuff and was like killed it all, but then there's a lore like, who's Adam, why did he get to the land, why all this? But there's like a whole wiki about it, like there's 20-page essays on who I am, what my background is on it and stuff like that. And through creating this like epicness that happened like 4 days ago, I live streamed and managed to peak 118,000 people concurrent whilst a $10 million Dota tournament was going on. And the Dota guys were like, what the hell is this guy doing streaming Minecraft to 118,000 people? And that was all because we created such a diverse storyline, which now with 3 Black Dot, like I've been speaking to Angelo about how we could you know, make it more of a storyline and tell a story with the game. So if me and Adam come up with a game idea, we can be like, right, we're going to go in the game today, but then we're going to add this twist to it. And then people like follow it and follow it and follow it, and like just make an adventure for people to be involved in, because the whole key core concept of this idea for me is that we take our audience on a journey, and we're not just selling them things. Like we're growing a company, like grow a clothing line. I'm like, guys, go and buy a t-shirt, and you know, maybe in 10 years time, this might be one just like a Nike, you know, obviously not, but you know, you can always hope big. But if you've got your audience on a feel of, I am part of this journey, then the engagement is insane.
Yeah, it does help to solve the problem of the disconnect between, I mean, you produce something like a game, a developer produces whatever it may be. I think that Tom and I and other people similar to us, I mean, there's a conversation there. There's a conversation in terms of, you know, what people would like to see and what, you know, they respond well to. I think that you see a lot of sort of managed social media properties where obviously somebody does not really care. It's a job, but Tom and I care. We care about what people think and want, and I think that is something that people are hungry for. They're hungry for somebody to actually listen, as opposed to...
There's a lot of people who don't care in this industry. Some people, like I said, people just take money and be like, guys, go buy Madden Jew, or do whatever, or buy this game, it's great, and it's not.
And I understand, you know, it's like you do very much have to make a living, but at some point, I think if we're trying to build out these experiences, it begs the question, you know, how do you connect to these people? And I think that, you know, having guys on the front line goes a very long way, and I think that you know, will build things out far beyond what we originally intended them to be. And I think it's extremely exciting. It's exciting, and it's you know, it's humbling at the same time. I mean, like the idea that essentially you can craft this world, and it is, people feel like they're shaping it when they're watching, and they're there, and they're talking, and they're in the chat. And that is something it's rough. I mean, you see a game and it's released and it has updates and the monetization structure. And I understand all these things, and they're very important, but I think that there is something that is missing, and I think that it is that connectivity, like the ability to actually speak to people is very, very important.
And that really goes to, again, coming full circle. So I'm going to open up to Q&A here in a second. We're coming full circle to the power of the influencers. In fact, that's Three Black Dot's tagline, building value with influence. So just to put this in perspective, being an old guy back in the 1980s, doing direct mail to all of you, your parents, from HBO, we used to deliver 60 million mail pieces a quarter to your door that said, call this number now and get HBO. And we recognized that if we didn't do that ourselves, if we depended upon the cable operators to market us, we were dead meat. So we came up with what we call these time lock campaigns. We would lock cable operators up for a period of time, 6 weeks, 3 times a year, and drop mail on this country like you cannot believe. We were second only to Publishers Clearinghouse. Now, I bring this up because, again, if you've lived long enough and have been in business as long as I have and seen all these various changes on how people communicate on help getting human beings to do products, services, I say this is a sea change because back then, if I got a 1 to 2% rate, a 1 to 2% response rate to the 60 million mail pieces I dropped on you, I was a god. 1 to 2%. Luke, why don't you talk to the audience about what happens when these guys take a Fortune 500 brand and tell their audience of their 12 million plus to do something about it?
Right. So for campaigns, for agencies and or brands, we typically put together packages and work with the influencers to creatively come up with ideas to engage their audience. Our last campaigns have all averaged over 20% click-through ratios on the links supplied. And really that just comes back to just organically working with influencers and saying, hey, we need to deliver something. And authentically coming up with a creative package where it says, we're going to do X, Y, and Z. We're going to activate over here on Twitter, which is going to push them over here to YouTube, and from YouTube out to their website, or in the reverse order. It just really depends on how you want to work with that audience. And the audience, again, back to the platforms things. If you look at the internet and you look at the platforms being the infrastructure of the internet, you know, your YouTubes and your Twitters and whatnot, you have audience segmented in different places. You got beauty over here, you've got gamers over here, and they have different leaders in those voices. Talking directly to the leaders and saying, hey, I want to do this. How would you creatively activate your community to do this?
And in these brands that you keep speaking to, is this like from Breaking Bad, Go Call Saul? Or is it that kind of a brand, that kind of spot? Who are the brands?
I would love
Tell
to
the
work
audience
with
who the
Saul.
brands are that you work with.
I'd love to work with Saul. I mean, we work with everyone from, we've done Mountain Dew campaigns, we've done Volkswagen, Activision, every major publisher. Obviously, gaming is a really easy one for us to work with, given the YouTube audience. Gaming is the second largest vertical on YouTube. And if you look at the gaming community, the closest correlation to it in traditional media would be kind of like a radio jockey, where they have a community, they're constantly talking to that community on a daily basis, and they're engaging that community doing X, Y, and Z. Working with those influencers, you can ask them, how would you creatively promote X, Y, and Z? And yeah, I mean, to have a CTR of 20% or higher, I think most brands are pretty excited about that. And it's just focusing that for us on IP that we're developing.
All right, so with the short time that we've got left, I'd like to open it up. Does anybody have any questions? If you do, just raise your hand. Yes.
Okay, so you guys work a lot.
Why don't you stand up?
Hello. Okay. Wow. So you work a lot with like a lot of bigger companies, and I mean, you play a lot of like Minecraft is an independent game, or started out as it. But how, like, as a developer, if I wanted to leverage like your influence, would I work with you guys? So like I know a lot of big companies you said you work with. Do you guys work with independent developers as well, or have plans for that?
Well, it's a conversation, I think, of value as well, because I think that when you look at, let's say, for instance, YouTube, where it's like you have X amount of subscribers, I don't think that, you know, whatever your numbers may be is should be dependent upon, like, so for instance, when you say like an indie developer, I think that your skill is not determined by your success financially. It's like, if you've, still trying to make your way in, I think that I personally am very eager to work with somebody that has a great idea. And it doesn't really matter to me if you're EA or Activision. It's like a good idea is a good idea.
If it's fun to play and we can put it across to our audience.
So I think that, and I personally, I'm most interested in partnership. I think that is something that I don't just want to be leveraged. I want to be, part of that conversation. So, because I'm a person, and I think that is, people tend to look at myself as like, you are a pawn, in this game, and I don't think that's it's not how I value myself. I think that
it's like bringing on a marketing whale in a sense and being like, just like a shark, sorry, or whatever,
okay.
Bringing it on board and saying, hey, here's our game, please play it.
Yeah,
therefore, it's going to,
way.
because they see the Minecraft success and stuff like that, and it just absolutely blows up. Our, Goat Simulator, seen that? Yeah, that blew up on YouTube. So that was an awesome simulator.
It really comes down to what you're making as well. And I know it's a kind of like not really answering your question specifically, but I think that I personally don't really care like how much success you've had. If you're valuable in that you do something rather well, I'm always interested. That's just going to be across the board. You see it every once in a while, but it is hard because I think there is discoverability-wise, it's tough. Like Twitter is probably the easiest way to talk to anyone, but like Facebook and YouTube and Tumblr and Instagram, and like it gets really heavy pretty quick. So I think events like this, that's what this is all about. It's just networking.
I would say, from my experience, YouTubers typically like to work with independent companies. There's a sense of camaraderie. They are independent companies themselves. It just has to, kind of align with what they're doing. We've been talking about authenticity, and I just cannot hit this enough. Nobody I know in this space, very few people I know in this space, would promote something that they just didn't like. So it goes back to creating quality content and quality games. But there's every large YouTuber from 1,000 on up has, business emails, Twitter. You can reach out to them on. And they have ways they want to work with you, because content, they need more brands to engage them. So I would say reach out. You can reach out to 3 Black Dot. You can reach out to, there are a lot of other companies that are starting to pop up, but organically working directly with the influencers is the best way to do it. Finding that partnership.
I think.
How do you find the YouTube influencers? Do you just search YouTube influencers?
Yeah, you could go on like VidStats and search like
VidStats,
top 24 most subscribed in the hour or something, or sorry, the day, and then you could just look through and be like, oh, this is a person makes video games based around a fighting game, and I'm making a fighting game myself, so I'll contact him and be like, yeah.
The easiest thing, like, just basically it's called vidstatsx.com. You can just go to gaming, you just go to top 100, and there's a list. It's pretty easy.
There's Social Blade. There's lots of little websites that have popped up. If you go old school and you type in, depending on what game you're producing, say YouTube, and then choose 3 or 4 different FPS, gamer, and choose 3 or 4 different tags, and then you'll pop up.
Also, to that note, I think that it's important to actually don't just look at numbers like, oh, this guy has X amount of subscribers. Look at the content they're making, because there's nothing worse than approaching someone and be like, play this game. It has nothing to do with what you like. Like, I think that it's important to value, like, in the same sense, it's like I'd like to value other people's time. I'd very much like for the person wanting to work with me, know me a little bit more than just like, you're doing great. I think that there is another level to it, and I think that finding the right person for the thing that you have is very, very important.
Yes.
Just curious what you guys think of Glue's Kim Kardashian game.
What is it at right now?
$200 million,
is it
right?
$200 million? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's Kim Kardashian.
number
It's
one
like
in the US.
the visibility there is crazy. It's like, well, I'm going to play this zany game, so it's like, of course it's going to.
Capitalizing. I can't say that word, but it's like getting in on an audience, isn't it? Like a little kid audience. They're like, oh, I want to be like Kim Kardashian when I'm older. I'm gonna buy fake fans. I don't get the.
How do you play the game, by the way? I haven't played it yet.
Have you played it?
What do you do?
Can you brief us?
Yeah,
She's like,
it's
the
like
best.
it's a celebrity shopping sort of game in which you're,
You buy high heels and stuff like that.
yeah,
for
you
real
buy
cash.
clothes and you.
So your mum's like, why have you spent $30, Adam, on high heels for the Kim Kardashian
So
game?
the
You're like, "Oh."
microtransactions are more shoes. Is that essentially what it is?
It's not all shoes, but yes.
Okay.
So I want
It's kinda
to
living
put
the
this
life.
I want to put this in perspective. That's a great question, because she's bringing up celebrity influencers, which is very different. They're celebrities in their world, but they're not celebrities as we know them, right? Luke, talk to the power
Hold on a
of Adam and Tom and that world to the Kim Kardashians and other movie stars and such.
I'm actually going to talk about Kim Kardashian. She went up, they did a brand integration with Kim and with a woman named Michelle Phan. Michelle is on YouTube and she does beauty products. Kim's community or camp insisted that they be completely separate, not, be on the same page on their website. The product had to be named differently, all this different stuff, and the campaign had to roll out months later, so that there was no association between her and a YouTuber. When the campaign for Kim went up, decent engagement, sales were fine. When Michelle went up and she engaged her community, within a month, she had outsold Kim's previous 3 months. I cannot speak to the authenticity and the ravenness in which these communities engage. It's been a great success. You can't sniff at it. But I think that once that's duplicated by a YouTuber, you'll be even more impressed.
So I was kind of setting you up for this one. So talk to the collective that Adam and Tom and you are building in terms of numbers compared to Lady Gaga and others, just so the audience has a perspective on the power of this world versus a normal celebrity world on Twitter or Facebook.
Well, no, as a group of guys, we're working to work with the influencers in the Void, a new brand we're creating called Void, to create content that speaks to their audience. Collectively, they have a little over 25 million YouTube subscribers, and in the social media or in the view realm, about 350 to 400 million views per month. That's a lot different than the celebrity world. So it's exciting to be working with such young communities. There's another question over here. Oh, sorry, I thought it was you, brother.
Any other questions out there? Oh, right here.
I'm sort of formulating this on the fly. In the vernacular, you guys are what might be known as disruptors.
Yes, we are.
That's a very good description.
Reporters hate us.
Yeah.
They do. No, in the gaming industry, there's certain, not me specifically, but traditional reporters, medias on gaming industry stuff. There is so much hate between them guys, the reporters, traditional, and the new guys who are oh, so today in the video I'll keep you updated what's to happen, because they're now stealing their sort of marketing and stuff like that.
Well, there is a shift. I think that people want to feel connected to the content, and I think that when you simply review a game or what have you, there's not a whole lot of engagement. You can say, yes, I agree with this review, or I don't. But when we're actually live streaming or making videos, you're talking to people, and I think that is something that it is a shift. It is disruptive because, I personally find that much more interesting to me, that I can actually have a conversation as opposed to somebody dictating to me how the conversation's going to go. And I think that a lot of people are very, very hungry for that. So, yeah, I guess we are disruptive.
It is just something new. It's like when VHS was huge and then a DVD came along. It's just a new sort of thing came along that did something a little bit better. Not to insult reporters in the game industry, not being rude there, because we don't do that. But I've seen it. I've got loads of friends in the gaming industry as reporters from the UK side, and I hear non-stop from them about how X person is disrupting it. But it's just that's how any industry goes. There's upsides, there's downsides, and it's just how the evolution works.
Yeah, I think that's a very good description for these guys. And I think, I know that there's tongues being bit right now. They're being very quiet on some of the things that they're going to be doing that you'll be hearing about over the course of the next year. You'll be hearing a lot, in my opinion, about 3 Black Dot, because, again, this is a sea change of what they're about to do. This is different than Maker Studio. This is different than Full Screen. This is different than Machinima and all the other multi-channel networks. And they're setting out now to prove that the power of influence is the new way of marketing and driving product services to human beings everywhere. How much time do we have? We have one more? Okay.
Also to that note, too.
So go ahead.
Well, it was great. You guys totally anticipated where I was going with the question, and you did too, which is basically what the incumbents, when a disruptor starts to rear its head, starts to try and preserve their fiefdom. And I'm wondering whether you have encountered some of that stuff right now, and if so, what form it's taking.
Well, you're seeing it before you guys grab this. You're seeing it in the form of Disney acquiring Maker Studio. As I began this panel, they did that, in my opinion, because of the audience and the power of the audience. They just didn't think through what it was they were acquiring. And again, there are changes that are going to occur in that vernacular. So the power of the influencers, gentlemen like Tom and Adam, are leading a charge for change. And it's about discoverability. I mean, think about it. If I dumb this down to old media, when I was starting doing HBO, my biggest fear was CBS, NBC, and ABC. There wasn't even a Fox, and maybe a scattering of cable networks here and there, and then Showtime and the Movie Channel popped up right after we launched with Cinemax. So my fear as a marketing guy at HBO was, how do I cut through that clutter? How are we going to get human beings to know what's on HBO? Well, let's fast forward to the year 2014. You got over-the-top, video on demand, pay-per-view, a slew of broadcast networks, a slew of cable networks, and let's not forget everything over the top, including what's on YouTube. It's insane. So how does a human being find anything of substance for them, unless they already know what's on? Our culture, not just in this country, but around the world, sociologically speaking, has always been, you've heard the term a lean-back society. We like people doing things for us. Programming. Well, there's no TV guide for the internet. Effectively, these guys are a new form of that. They're influencing human behavior on what they're going to watch and when. And that's what part of this disruption is about. It's about discoverability.
I think we've hit four different types of what do you call it? Pushback? Is that what you're alluding to? Yeah. From the user acquisition side of things, as Jimmy alluded to, we met with companies to discuss that. They pitched us on proposal, $50,000 a month, $100,000 a month. We said no, and we wanted to test this concept in theory. We haven't heard back from them again because they don't want to engage there. Adam and Tom already touched on the game.
You're alluding to a million subs in 9 days.
Right. Yeah. But so what this all is coming from is the disruption in distribution that the internet enables. Because now the world is flat, I can distribute a game for free. It used to be the most expensive part of the game, same thing with film. Now you can distribute films for free. There's a disruption in distribution across all media.
Go ahead, you're good. I got one. Got my own.
Any other questions? Thank you for that.
I did. I had another question, but now I actually changed my mind. Thank you. It's been super interesting. I wanted to ask you two about how you feel about tablet and mobile games. I know you're doing Minecraft and those types of games. Is there anything core enough for you? Or?
I think there's a lot of space for improvement. I think that I personally, and I think that as of recently, multiplayer, like Bluetooth connectivity, is something that we very much enjoy. I think that in YouTube space, and just based on what we kind of do right now, I mean, I do a lot of multiplayer stuff, so I'm not too interested in a single-player experience, and that's just as an individual. I'd like to see more of, I think I'd be more interested in, mobile games if there was ways in which I can replicate like a Mario Kart on a couch type experience. Like I want to hang out with my friends because I spend a lot of time online and I don't see people. I have Skype and I have Steam, but I don't, and I think that I very much am looking for interesting ways to get out of that social box. That's what they call social media, but it's so far from social. It's so ridiculous. But I think that I'm all for supporting mobile, and I think that in my hope is that we can create some things that are very engaging and in ways. And I'm thinking, I don't think that when people develop games, they think, all right, well, how to market this on YouTube? What is the best avenue for this? But we're thinking that way. We're thinking, okay, so if I'm really going to engage my audience, I'm really going to give them the things they want. I think that it's, getting together and engaging and having fun with your friends. So I think that, PC gaming gets it now because whether it's Battlefield or Call of Duty or whatever, it makes a lot of sense, even Minecraft. I think that would perhaps be, I'd like to see more of that.
It's like, like we've been playing games like all day and all yesterday just playing like a connective game where you can connect via Bluetooth, and then it's multiplayer and it's in real time and stuff like so. I don't know if it has, but say Minecraft Pocket Edition, they had a Bluetooth connectivity. So say if you're on the plane with your friend next to you and you can jump in the same world and play on the same server, then you're not just playing a game on your own. You've got your friends there and you can just join in. Because I think that's the best part about gaming. I used to be Adam's always been a multiplayer guy, and then I've always been known as the single player guy. And then I moved into multiplayer stuff, and my gosh, I've had the most fun playing multiplayer games in the world. I've not been like a social outcast, don't play. I'd play Call of Duties or stuff like that, play multiplayer, but then I kind of just decided, right, you know what, it's time to really enjoy games with other people, and I think it's the best way for it. And
the game they're talking about, Super Stickman Golf.
It's the best game in the world. I don't know if you guys have played it.
It's a mod of Super Stick.
Yeah.
It's a mod
Flappy
of,
Golf.
It's a mod of Super
amazing.
Stickman Golf. Where again, you can turn your airplane mode on. You can play on the airplane, and you put Bluetooth on. So your airplane mode.
Yeah, we were playing it on the way here from LA, and we were screaming at each other. It's basically first one to get to the hole as fast as you can, and you can just flap all the way there and get in. And we've just been absolutely addicted to it like crazy. So
more multiplayer.
Yeah, more multiplayer, definitely.
Hey guys, thank you so much for an awesome panel. First of all, I'm struggling a tiny bit trying to figure out how to translate this partnership model for an audience that is slightly more female skewing. I'm curious about your thoughts as to who your counterparts are in this space. I don't think they are the Michelle Pfans of the world because she's more focused on makeup and fashion, but are there female counterparts to yourselves in the gaming space?
Yeah, absolutely.
So for ZKS, you can talk about Cupcake.
Yeah, we're actually with the new relaunch of Zombie Killer Squad. We're introducing a character. Her name's Cupquake on YouTube.
And that launch is this month.
This week. Well, it's this week, and at Comic-Con. And absolutely, again, you can find any audience you want online. Sometimes they're aggregated in very large places. Sometimes they're aggregated in 100,000. We've worked with influencers in the 100,000, the 50 to 100,000, and they've had literally almost 50% click-through ratio. So you can convert, and you do 10 of those, and you're at $1 million. So, or 20 of those, and you're at $1 million.
And also, too, what I'd like to hope to do is blur the lines between female and male gamers. I think that's always kind of a very strange state of affairs. Because, for instance, as a frame of reference, my girlfriend Kathy started a YouTube channel about 2 months ago. And the reception's been great, and she's had a lot of fun. And I think that what I've tried to tell her in terms of she's looking at analytics and demographics and who's watching and what is her female audience base. And I said, listen, it's not about male, female. It's just people are watching your stuff and they're engaging. It shouldn't matter. And I think that I think what happens is that people they think of themselves on this side of the fence or that. It's just jump in. I know that there is a lot of, and that's a different conversation for another day. But I think that if you want to, it's we have to define where this is going forward, and we can't just sit back and let other people define it for us.
Also, live streaming for females is huge. On Twitch, there's about 25 to 30 really large female audiences that they do tons of views. 5 or 6 of them live here in the Bay Area.
So I'll give a push to a friend of mine who just is starting one, who's a woman, a young woman, looks like about your age. She's 28, and I hope I complimented you there. You don't want to go. You don't want to be put in jail. So you guys should go on YouTube and watch the Travel Muse, M-U-S-E. She's creating 3-minute vignettes, short, every Tuesday, for particularly targeting women who are in her age group, who are just getting married, having children, or are in the workforce, and don't think they have time to travel. So she's putting these very cute vignettes together on traveling in Vietnam or in Los Angeles, or a dog's view of Los Angeles, and it's all cute, real fun. So there are women who are trying to break through.
And also to be social and friendly. I think that a lot of people tend to get inside themselves and they're their little shell, and they don't want to go on Twitter and say, listen, I really liked your video, I thought it was really engaging the way you did X, Y, and Z. I think that a lot of people forget about the human element. It's they always say, well, you have so many millions of subscribers, how can I possibly talk to you? It's well, just be a human being. Say, look, dude, when you did that and that cut, that was excellent. I went to film school. It's connect to me in the way that I would like to connect to you. And I think that that's something that a lot of people tend to forget. Here you'll see a lot of business cards being handed out, and I think that it's engage me. Say, how's your day going? And did you have a good lunch? It sounds weird, and everyone's no, it's uncomfortable. No, stop it. But when it comes down to it, it's if there's people that, and again, if you go on VidStats and you say this person is really rocking it, just be engaged. And I think that's how, you bridge the gap between, the sort of YouTube celebrities and people that are trying to either develop a game or just simply trying to, become part of this thing. I think that, being social is the best avenue, like by far. I mean, just be a person. I know it sounds weird that I'm saying that, but just like,
We started this as just like, for me, for example, I was 17, still living with my dad, which I do. I'm moving out soon, just to throw that out there. So I was living with my dad, and then I was just like, I'm just going to make gaming videos on my laptop that I saved up from, like, because I was at college, part-time at McDonald's, bought a laptop, started making game videos. Did it as a hobby, so I'm only 21 now. I think I can finally drink in the US, so that's a good thing. But, I just started doing it because I'm just a person who thought it'd be fun to do, and I've not really changed from being that same person of that, because I don't know any different than being other than just myself. So, like, YouTubers are most of the time just a normal person who thought, hey, I'll put some videos on YouTube and see how it goes. So anyone's willing to reach out, basically. So, yeah.
So yeah, and there you can find that audience for sure.
All right, well, that's it. We're going to wrap it up. Thank you very much for coming. Keep an ear out for 3 Black Dot and watch us, as you would say, disrupt. Thanks for coming, everybody.
Thank you.
Woo.